Hey everybody, this is Carl White broadcasting from the secret headquarters here in the Mortgage Marketing Animals / Freedom Club. And you're listening to Loan Officer Freedom, #1 podcast in the world today. And we really appreciate you guys. And thanks so much for all the great reviews. That definitely helps us in the algorithms with all the podcast and iHeart and all the stations, which I think we're on 27 different stations now. So we really appreciate all that. So got a great story, great interview today. A very dear friend of mine, Tony Moore. His beautiful bride, Michelle's not with us today. She's out shopping, my suspicion is. But have become very good friends of ours, located actually not too far from me. And I always forget about that, Tony. We see each other all over the nation when we have our Freedom Club meetings. And I forget, you're like, I don't know, maybe 100 miles down the road, probably not even. So,
yeah, not even that far.
Yeah. So Tony is a branch manager. Are you a producing branch manager, Tony, or non-producing?
Yes, correct. My wife and I are producing branch managers.
Producing branch manager. All right, perfect. And what company do you work for?
We're an outfit for the mortgage firm.
What? Say it again.
The mortgage firm.
Oh, the mortgage firm. Great company. Brett Lindquist, just an awesome guy. So great company. But anyway, so what we're going to talk about today, and man, I really appreciate you doing this, Tony. Basically, this is going to be it's a classic story of small town boy makes good, right? Which is just an ever so classic story. And you're such a humble guy, and I really appreciate both you and Michelle. Both are just extraordinarily humble people. So I know this can be kind of a catchy topic. So, but I know that with your, I know we can totally pull this off, and everybody understand where we're coming from on this. So we're coming from a position of inspiration, right? We're looking to inspire people, to let people know what's possible. But Tony, we're going to talk about today how you've gone from an income like everybody else, like we all started at literally $0 of income, to this past year. What'd you make? And we're going to time date this. So as we're recording this, it's the middle of July of 2021. So in 2020, what did you and Michelle make in not just revenue, but like income, like your personal income, like W-2 income, however you do it? What was your personal income for last year?
So we W-2, and we W-2'd over 1.4 million last year.
1.4.
It was 1.3 million. I'm sorry.
1.3. Oh yeah. Well, let's not be exaggerating here. So it's 1.3. So $1,300,000. And some people would say, well, 2020 was a pretty easy year to make a lot of money. Not that much money, by the way, but pretty easy. But y'all, to prove this is not just you didn't just have, quote, a lucky year or a good year. So here we are. We just finished 6 months of this year. Where are you at for the 6 months this year? Where are you at in income so far?
Currently this year, we're over 1.2 million.
So you're at 1.2 so far this year.
That's correct.
And assuming the second half goes as well as the first half, which is no reason to think it wouldn't, that's going to put you somewhere around $2.4 million for the year.
That would be absolutely amazing.
You know, dude, what does that feel like? I just got to ask that first of all, like literally getting started, again, like the rest of us, to make it. Dude, you're making like, I always call that like football money, right? This is like NFL player money. Maybe not Tom Brady money. I get that. but this is very solidly in the NFL money. So, dude, what does that feel like going from a mediocre income, maybe a low six-figure income in the mortgage, which sounds really weird, by the way, to say a six-figure income is mediocre in the mortgage business, but in the group that we hang out with, that really is kind of just like typical. What does it feel like to go from, say, 100,000 to over $2 million of income and a personal W-2 income in a year? Dude, what does that feel like?
You know, Carl, it feels wonderful for the backgrounds that my wife and I had, and we grew up with not everything that we wanted, and us, both single parents, and It was a lot. It was a lot. And now to have worked so hard to and put the time in and to be comfortable and to be where we want to be, and be able to help our family and friends and give to charities and organizations whenever we want to and however we want to, it's awesome. And that's what it's about. You know, it's about becoming successful and helping others that aren't. And my wife and I think that's something that we do a ton of, and that's what we want to do. And that's what it's about, you know.
Yeah. That's one thing I like about our group, man, is that as we continue to have this abundant results from the efforts that we do, and we're going to talk about how, what are the efforts that you do. We don't sit around here and compare Ferraris, who's got the biggest Ferrari. Nothing wrong with having a Ferrari, right? I'm not knocking that. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with having a roll. I'm not a Ferrari guy. I'm a Rolls guy myself, so there's nothing wrong with that. But that's not what we sit and challenge each other on. We challenge each other on, all right, and what are you doing that money to help other people? And I know that might sound kind of corny, but it's a real thing. So good for you. So, dude, walk me through somebody that's making. Let me ask you this: what are you doing today, having made $1.2 million in 6 months? What do you do at 1.2 million? What activities are you doing at 1.2 million for 6 months that you weren't doing when you were at, say, 70, 80, $100,000? What do you do at 2 million that you weren't doing at 100,000?
You know, Carl, I think everything's completely different at this point. And the activities that I did when I was, at that level, doing 10 loans, 8, 10 loans a month compared to now are completely different. One of the things is that you first start off, and this is how I kind of describe it, is when you first start off, you don't know how to prospect. You don't know how to go out and get business, but you do it over and over and you teach yourself how to do it. And then all of a sudden, guess what? You become great at prospecting and you learn how to get business in the door. Well, guess what happens once you learn how to get business in the door? Now you got to learn how to manage it, and you got to learn how to hire people, and you got to learn how to be a manager, right? You never were. When you started off as a loan officer, you're yourself by yourself doing your own business by yourself, but you have to learn how to take it to the next step. And nobody's good. We weren't good. You weren't good when you started prospecting. Nobody was. It took time after time after time. We became good after years of experience. Well, that next step is, well, how do we hire people properly? How do we fire people properly? How do we get the right people and train them properly to do the right activities every day like we were? And right now, something that Michelle and I are doing is we hired a lot of people to find the best people out there, to look for the Tom Brady's, to look for that person that's better than the next person, and make our team as good as we are, right? Surrounded by super awesome people that want to work, that we can give great salaries to, that do an excellent job for us and make us complete. And I'll tell you, we can't do it without our team. You can't do it without a great team. But as I mentioned, doing that activity over and over, you become better at it. So Michelle and I have became better managers. We became better at hiring people. We became better at training. We became better at giving people the ability to do stuff without our permission, you know. And that's what it looks like now today, is that we've found the people that can do what we can do, because what's the hardest thing to do is to let go. You always think that you do it better than everybody else because you've been doing it, right? You taught yourself how to do it. You're always thinking that you're doing it better than everybody else. But the truth is, there's probably people you can surround yourself with better that you can surround yourself that can do it better than you can. And that's what Michelle and I have found out, is that that's what we can do. We can have other people that can do that job better than we can. And we can focus on what's better for us, right? Running our P&L, making sure things are happening properly, making sure our staff is treated properly. That's what it's really about once you get to the higher level.
One thing that just I've been thinking about here the last few days is that it's hard to have you ever heard the I'm sure it's got a name. I don't know what the name is, but I call it the 10,000 hour rule. Have you ever heard that?
Something of that nature, yes.
Yeah, and basically what the 10,000 hour rule says is that if you do something for 10,000 hours, you become a master of whatever that is. So if I played the banjo, which I don't play, but if I played it for 10,000 hours, I would then be a master banjo player, right? And so I did the math on it, 10,000 hours. I don't remember the exact number, but it's about 4.5 years. So if you do it 8 hours a day, if you do it 40 hours a week, about 4.5 to 5 hours is 10,000 hours, right? And I started thinking about that, and it's like, man, there's just nothing like putting the time in, and doing an activity, running a mortgage business, prospecting. If you're prospecting for 40 hours a week for 4.5, 5 years, you become a master prospector. But here's my question for you. So most people that are listening to us today have been doing this for more than, not everybody. Some people just, and we love having those new people in the business, right? Some people, they just started last month. But for the vast majority, they have been doing it for 10,000 hours. How do you make it so that when you're doing the 10,000 hour, that you grow from that versus doing the first year for 10 years in a row? You know what I'm saying? Like how is it that some people do this 10,000 hour rule and that 4.5, 5 years, and they make vast improvements past that point, while some, it just seems like they grow for like the first 1, 2, 3, 4 years, and then they plateau out and they never reap the benefits of that 10,000. It's like they repeat year 2 over and over and over and over for the last 5 years or 10 years. Like, what do you think the difference of that is?
So probably two things that I would have to think of that people get stuck in. And that's one is that you get stuck in the rut, right? Like you can't go in and work from your email every single day. Mm-hmm. If you go in and you just work from your email every day and just working on the next available thing and the next thing that comes up, or the next person that emails you, or the next phone call that comes in, you're going to get stuck working for your client, right? One of the things that you guys taught us, which I absolutely love, and it's something that I heard from you a long time ago, Carl, is that you got to set time aside to work on your business. And every Friday, I time block the full day, or at least a half a day, to work on the things on my business that has to be worked on. So if I want to incorporate something like we just incorporated ZipWhip not too long ago, which is a texting app, I spent the time on a Friday to work on that and put that in place. So I think it's really about not getting stuck in those ruts and working on your business. That's the first thing. The second thing is, I think, is that, you have to be surrounded by other people that are doing high level activities more. If you're just literally working with yourself by yourself and watching the business that you do, and you're not getting around other people that are being coached and that are doing, there's people that are doing 5 times the amount of business that we're doing out there. But you need to be around those people and talk to those people to see what they're doing, to hear what they're doing, to go to things like the seminars that you just had in Salt Lake City, in Clearwater, or wherever, and hear what other activities they're doing and start to incorporate those activities to take you to the next level. I think that's the thing that took me and Michelle to the next level, is being around other people that are doing it and taking their ideas and bringing them back to our office.
How many units is your team doing? Like, I don't know, the last 2, 3, 4 months. Like, what are y'all averaging these days in units per month?
We closed about 140 over the last 6 months. Last year we closed 361. So our numbers aren't quite as good as they were last year. Just for our team, we closed 676 loans last year for our office.
So 670.
Yeah,
so
676.
And it's a good thing we're mathematical genius that I can do this right out of my head, and I'm not actually punching into a calculator right now, even though it might sound like I am, but I'm not. But that comes to 56 loans per month for the team, right? So 56 loans per month. You make a great point, because I think what happens is, I'll never forget, man. I went to my first conference of a mastermind group, right? Of people that are doing really well. And I think I was closing at the time, I don't know, somewhere around like 18 loans a month, right? And I thought, man, that's a great number. And that is a great number, right? That is, I'm not taking away from that. That's a fantastic number.
Absolutely.
But when I went to this thing, there was a dude that was closing about 75. And when I went to that meeting, I didn't know that was possible. Like I thought I was pretty much at the top of the pile and that I'm running a 4 minute mile, right? I'm thinking like, man, there's very few people doing better than this. And come to find out that wasn't true. And maybe in my own little circle or in my company that I was with at the time, that was top dog. But I found out I was a big fish in a very small pond. And when you threw me out in the ocean, come to find out, at 15, 18, 20 loans a month, I was a guppy. And I think what happened is exactly what you just said. What happened is I saw what was possible, and then it was like, oh, well, now I get it. Doing it the way I'm doing, 15, 18 a month, again, which is a great number, right? I'm not getting away from that. But closing 15, 18 loans a month, doing it the way I was doing was a high number. And I found out I just have to start doing it a different way, the way that this lady was doing it. In my case, it was a lady, actually. I need to start doing it the way this lady is doing it because she's doing 3 times as much as me. And frankly, she looked like she had a little bit more chill on her face than I did at the time too. And I think that's a great point. Is you see what that's like the first guy that ran the 4 minute mile. I don't remember exactly when it happened, but it was like everybody thought it was absolutely physically impossible for a human being to run a 4 minute mile. And then soon as one person did it, it was like, I don't know, 18 months later, and like 30 people had done it or something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but just knowing what's possible. So let me ask you this. What what would you say is like what's the number one or the top three activities that you do that generate most of your business?
So, great question. So, definitely the three things that I've been working on or that we do and it's been a huge help is that I was at 87% realtor business out the door 4 years ago. 87%. I mean, 13% of my business came from BNIs, Chamber of Commerce, past clients, database, only 13%. Once I started working with you, Carl, you told me that, I need to get out there and I need to market my database more. I need to make sure I'm in front of them. We send out the I like you, happy, whatever, monthly cards to 1,400 people in our database. And our database has absolutely exploded with it. We're up to close to like 30% now from 13. So up to 30% now from database and business networking and stuff. So our realtor connections are still the same amount. We just grew our database business by doing that. So staying in front of the database has been absolutely huge for us. That was one thing. The second thing that we've done is I focused more on, I went through my whole entire realtor list. And Carl, when I closed 140 deals back in 2017, 147 deals back in 2017 for the year, 97 different realtors sent me that business. 97 realtors sent me 147 closings. I focused in and drilled into my realtors and looked for qualified realtors or even more whales, the bigger realtors, to get more business from the same realtors. And since then, I've landed more of them and work with the higher producing realtors. And the way I look at it is you got to look at these realtors, you look at their numbers, they did 20, 30 deals, and those are the ones that you're going after. Well, probably every loan officer that's going to listen to this is probably doing more than 20 or 30 deals a year, but yet we're scared to go after those realtors that are doing 20 or 30. So going after those high level realtors was the next thing that we did. And honestly, the biggest thing that I could do out of all three was my status update calls on Tuesday. My status update calls has earned me so much business. Literally just yesterday, I called one of my realtors. He closed 124 buyer side transactions in the last year.
Holy
And I got
cow.
him on the phone yesterday. And once again, my call is to give him an update, but my call is to get an appointment. So yesterday I got him on the phone. I said, listen, Matt, how can I get in front of you? We've done about 7 deals together. I have not been able to get in front of you. He goes, oh, call Courtney in my office and set up an appointment. I called her up. We got an appointment for this Friday. But that's what it's about, is getting in front of those realtors, not calling to do your status update calls and give them substance. That's part of it. But getting an appointment with them, getting in front of them because they love you. Nobody else is doing these things. Um, Nobody's keeping them updated and promising them. My thing is I promise them three things on the first call. Is I promise I'm going to call you every single every single Tuesday to give you an update. I promise that we'll close on time, and I promise no surprises at the closing table. If I do those things, will you promise to meet with me, have coffee, whatever? And it works. And it's just about staying in front of them, staying on top of them, giving them that update every week. There's no excuses. If you're on vacation on Tuesday, you call on Monday and tell them it's Tuesday still, you know.
Yeah.
But it's consistently making those calls every week. It doesn't matter who makes the calls. You got to make the call every single week and try and connect with those realtors.
Like, it really goes back. This stuff is so much simpler than sometimes we play it out to be, that I think I have to be doing all these different things and juggling all these different, rubber chickens and bowling balls. I'm sitting there juggling this stuff, and come to find out, it just really, it just goes back to the basics, and we all know this at some level, I guess. But so your top three is working your database, uh, checking to see the agents that you're currently working with, find out who's the best producing, and instead of marketing to 100 different ones, market to a smaller number that's doing bigger numbers, because it's way easier to work with, say, 10 agents that are each doing 30 a year than it is 300 agents doing one a year.
Absolutely.
Much easier to maintain. All right. So database, qualifying your agents, and then the status update calls, which we call the just ask calls. You're not really calling to update them per se. That's the Trojan horse. You're really calling them to get that appointment to meet with them, whether it's on Zoom or a phone call or live and in person. Are you guys down there in Venice? Are you pretty much back to live and in person after the COVID thing? Is most of your meetings face to face these days?
We are. I mean, we still do some phone appointments and stuff like that, Zoom, whatever.
Yeah.
For the most part, most people are pretty comfortable to meet in person now. So.
How is the how does the phone call and the Zoom meetings work? So here let's call it post COVID for most of the country, So here it is post COVID. What are those meetings on Zoom or phone call that's not in person? Do they work almost just as well?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting to know each other. I mean, it's just them seeing you and you seeing them. And I did a lot of Zoom appointments, Zoom coffee appointments during COVID, and stayed in front of people and new realtors that I never met before.
Yeah.
And that's how they wanted to meet, because they didn't want to. So the great part about doing the Zoom call, when maybe you're just trying to get that first introductory call, is that you can stack them, Carl, one after another. So 15 minutes. You're not, when you're at coffee with them, you can't be like, hey, listen, I need you to leave because somebody else is here to see me now. But when you're on Zoom, you can say, hey, I have another appointment I got to run. And then the other person can pop on there. So you can stack them to get maybe that first 15-minute just introductory call over with, and then go and have the lunch with them, or do a break bread, or building some more rapport.
I really like that. So tell me something, like when you and Michelle first, by the way, I on you and Michelle, so husband and wife team, do y'all both originate, or does one of you tend to do the book work, or how does that work?
So we have separated. We both were originators, and started in the business almost 20 years ago. And we were both competition top two producers in the office, month after month after month after year. And we, of course, have been working together for that long, and then eventually got married and run the office.
So if you can't beat them, marry them. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
You're a smart man, because.
But now we kind of divide stuff up.
I wouldn't want to try to win against Michelle. She's she's an impressive person. So you're a wise man, my brother. Good for you, buddy.
So we back to your question, is we've kind of separated, and she does a lot of the accounting and payroll, and she works with basically everything on the back end. So everything from the time we get a contract forward, she works with the processors and our LP2s. And I basically work for all the prospecting up until contract with our LP1s or our front end loan.
So you work more with lead generation, and works more with fulfillment.
Yep, and processing and stuff like that. Absolutely.
Got it. And when you say separated, you didn't not in your marriage, but like in your business, you found it was instead of having two people going to generate new business. In your case, you found it was, hey, if we're gonna build this great mortgage business, we need to have somebody really got the act together in back in the fulfillment part, that you're going out and making these promises, and then she's making sure that your promises come true.
Absolutely. And when
Yeah,
you have
I
two
like
high D people, you can't work in the same department all the time. So
I get that. My wife and I, we're the same way. So we work together. And in my case, I do the front end stuff, and she does like the book works, and that she's our bookkeeping and accounts payable and receivable. It works, great with us too.
yeah,
So
I just had one thing I wanted to share before. I know we're getting short on time here, but one thing that I'm super passionate about and wanted to tell people about today is you know, it doesn't matter what type of money you make. The bottom line is that you need to have your why and your plan, and that's what Michelle and I have done. We've sat with our financial advisors. We figured out what our plan is. We figured out what our why is. Your why has to include how much family time you have, how much friend time you have, how many vacations you're taking, how many hours you want to work, and sit with your financial advisor to figure out how much money you have to make for your goals to come true. And then once you figure out how much money you have to make, then you got to figure out how much you want to work and how much vacation you want to have and how much time off you want. And then once you do all that, then you need to build your team around that why to make it work for you. So if your why is making 200,000 or 300,000 or 400,000, there's nothing wrong with that. But figure out what it is that you have to hit all your goals in life, that you can have family time, that you can have friend time, that you can have a social life, and not be caught up just in work, and work to achieve that goal so that you have a perfect work-life balance, making the money that you want to achieve your dreams.
I love that, man. I'm glad you brought that up. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and this person says that the episode of the podcast is there is no work-life balance. And I thought, man, what a horrible message to be sending out. So basically what this person will say is, I haven't figured it out. And since I can't do it, it can't be done, which is a terrible message to be sending out. So I'm really glad you brought that up. Dude, I love what you just said, man, because I wrote down a couple notes when you were talking that if we want to get somewhere, like here in the mortgage business, is first, what I heard you say is first, like reverse engineer it. What do you want? Like, what do you want and why do you want it? And you go, all right, I want this car, this house. I want to help build a church here or a center for women there. Like we support, and you being part of the Freedom Club, you're a big contributor to this, is that we built a center for, gosh, I get it's like a center for abused women in just outside of Cartagena, in South America. And man, I just love the stories that we've been hearing from there, and it's really, that means more than any Rolls or any Ferrari or anything really. But anyway, so you set up your goals about what do you want and why do you want them. So, all right, here's what I want. And then I go, all right, well, to have that and to take these vacations and to go out to dinner this many times and to save money for our kids or like whatever that is. What does these goals cost? How much money do I need to make? All right, awesome. I got these goals. This is what I want. Here's what it's going to cost me. How many loans do I need to make that much money? Awesome. I need this many loans. How many leads do I need to close that many loans? All right, now I know how many leads I need. All right, now that I know how many leads I need, how am I going to bring those leads in? Like, what strategies am I going to do to bring those leads in? And then once I see this is a strategy I need to bring this many leads, to close this many loans, to make this much money, so I can have that new boat that I'm looking for, or build that new school that I want to build, or whatever that thing is. Now, to how I'm going to bring in these many leads, what you're saying is, who do I need to help me do that?
Absolutely.
And so you just reverse engineer this, and that's how you make, which you're on track this year, over $2 million, because the goals that you did were big, and they were at the time $2 million. And so you need to close this many loans, you need this many leads, you need to do this activity, and here's who I need to help me do that activity. And it's really that simple, isn't it?
It is, and a lot of people don't go through that to figure out what their goals are. But like you said, if you reverse engineer it and put it on paper and spend the time to see that, right? They always say if you put it on paper, the things just automatically happen. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just about putting it on paper and seeing what it looks like and building your dream.
Mm.
Now, because we all have the capability of doing it in this industry. And if you just put a little bit work in, you see your focus and your vision, then you can just make it happen. And the sky's the limit.
Yeah. Good for you, man. What a, I just have to tell you, it warms my heart to see when nice guys do finish first. When and guy in my world is a gender neutral, identity. So it's nice to see that nice people win. And you, Michelle, I don't know if I've ever met a nicer couple, and the things that you guys are doing. And it's good to see that nice people win. So let me ask you something, man. So here you are, things are knocking along pretty good, and the growth you've seen in the last 3-4 years, it's impressive. Like, it really is. It's impressive. If you could go back to yourself and tell you something, oh, I don't know, say 6 years ago, what would you tell yourself?
I mean, I say the same thing to everybody. It's get involved with coaching as soon as possible.
Hmm.
I tell everybody the same story, and I do a little bit of coaching now for some loan officers, and I tell everybody the same thing is that look, you're coached from the time you're born till the time you graduate school, and then when real life starts, you stop being coached, right? That's when we need the coaching, right? We need it when we're starting our career, our marriage, our children, right? Nobody coaches us how to raise our children, but if we had it, that'd be awesome. Or marriage, or how to manage your money, or how to grow business. That's why all the professional athletes have multiple coaches, and that's why they're professionals, is because that's what they do. So the one thing is definitely start coaching sooner than later. Don't think it's not worth it, because it's well worth it. And we'll never go another day without being coached. So
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I think, some things that I think sometimes what happens is like, we may be great salespeople. Say we think we're great at all aspects of the business, and that's not true. Just because we're a great salesperson doesn't mean that we know how to run a P&L, or that we know how to hire or manage people. It's totally different. Two different tasks. That's like, I'm always always get a chuckle. For me anyway, it seems like the hardest loans in the world is like when a physician, a doctor, an MD, is making application. I'm going, oh man, here it goes. Like, they have like the worst credit of anybody. Like, it's just, they're always, and I think what it is they're masters, which truly they are, right? They're masters of one area in their life, which is the human body and medicine, right? And so they think, well, because I'm amazing at that, I'm also amazing at running a doctor business. It's two totally different skill sets. And so I think just because we're great at sales doesn't mean that we know how to run a P&L. We don't know how to run a business. We don't know how to look for talent. And all those things combined together is what running a business. I've always thought the selling the loans is the easy part. Making it all work, man, it's hard. It is. It's hard. There's a lot of moving pieces of this stuff. So, well, brother, I tell you, I can't tell you how glad I am to see you guys doing so well. And I know this is kind of a kind of a touchy topic, because you again, you and Michelle, very humble people, and it's not like you're sitting here waving a flag of look at me, look at me, look how much I made. It's more of, it's like you've gone on top of a mountain, and you're saying, man, it's freaking awesome up here. Hey, want to come join me? And so you're using your success as inspiration to others. And I know that's where your heart is. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate you. I appreciate it here in the Freedom Club, how you guys are seen as leaders, and that we have the new people coming in, or newer loan officers, or older loan officers have been doing the same thing for the last. They've been doing year 2 for the last 10 years. I really appreciate your guidance. And again, I want to do a quick reach out to our friends over at the mortgage firm. Just an outstanding organization, and it's easy to see why you guys hooked up with each other, because it's just a first class company, and it's being led by first class people like yourself and Michelle, man. So congratulations.
Thank you, Carl.
Hey, last question.
Yes.
What's next?
So that's a great question, and we've actually had the answer to that, and it's what Michelle and I've been working on, and we have got to a point where we found our level. You know, we're not still trying to grow; we're just maintaining at this point. We have an awesome team around us. We actually purchased the house in Ohio, and due to COVID, we are going to be going up there and working from there for 2 months, and we're going to try to see if we can be out of the office for 2 months straight and have everybody run everything, and still work. We'll be working. We'll just be working remotely, and just be able to enjoy our lives a little bit more and not work the 60, 70 hours a week, because we did that, a couple of years ago, and last year. Last year, COVID year, was a busy year.
Yeah.
So
I'm not poking fun of my friends in Ohio, because some of my favorite people in the whole world live in Ohio. Our dear friend Jen Connolly lives in Ohio. So awesome place, beautiful place. But I have to tell you, most people in Ohio are looking to buy a house in Florida to spend 2 months. You might be the first person ever that lives in a beach community of Venice, Florida, which is an absolutely gorgeous location. You're going to leave there and go to Ohio for 2 months of the year. Dude, I have to ask, what's the back end of that story? Because that might be the first time ever I've heard somebody doing that.
well, that's where I'm from. So my family's there, and I have nieces and nephews, and
Good reason.
6 great nieces and great nephews, and we like to spend time with our family before we want to spend time with when they're young still, before they get older.
Dude, you might want to, just with the kind of money you're making, like build the Tony and Michelle Moore compound, like the Kennedy compound, and move them down here, man. That might that might work out even better. But
unfortunately, we can't get them to move to Florida. We've been trying.
Yeah, good for you, brother. Hey, man, thanks so much for joining us today, Tony. I really appreciate it, and thanks again for your words of inspiration, your simple message, working database, making sure you're working with qualified referral partners, and then the status update calls is a very, very, very powerful thing. It seems like that one thing, the status update, seems to be the common thread of many of our we call it the 2 comma club, where people that are making $1 million more, that's a common thread. So good for you for keeping it simple, brother. And thanks again for being here, Tony.
Thank you, Carl. Thank you for everything.
All right, brother. Hey, if you would, if you'd like to do a call with us, and we could map out for you exactly, hey, on marketing your database, what do you say? What do the phone calls look like? What do the emails look like? The snail mails that we send out on the qualified realtors. How do you qualify them? What do you look for? How do you set up those meetings for the qualified agents? How do you get them to actually start referring to you once you meet with them at the meetings? What do you say? What do you do? How do you do that? I'd like to map all that out for you. And then again, on the status update calls, we call those the just ask calls. There's a very specific formula that we use on the script, that when we call the listing agent, the buying agent, the borrower, the co-borrower, and the title company and/or the attorney, the escrow attorney, on every single deal, we call those people, give them updates. But it's really the scripting that we use, where we're asking for even more business, doing it in a very cool way that people will happily start referring to your business. And I'm going to tell you, that one simple strategy, that one simple script, has been responsible in my personal business, and the loan officers that I've seen, has been responsible for creating more what we call the 2 comma, the literally W2, W2ing over $1 million of income as a loan officer. That one strategy has done more for that than anybody else. So we'd love to map this out for you. If you just go to loanofficerstrategycall.com, loanofficerstrategycall.com, and tell us just a little bit about yourself so we can best prepare for the call. And we'll be doing we'll be doing about a 45-minute one-on-one call where we're going to go over these scripts and not just giving you partial information, but actually giving you the scripts. I recommend that you do it from a computer. That way you can do screenshots. If we show you things, we might show you some of the mailers, some of the Facebook ads perhaps that we're doing. You can take screenshots of it. So just go to loanofficerstrategycall.com. We'll set that for you. It's no charge for that whatsoever. We'll do a complete map out with you. And if you want us to help you formulate a plan and be a part of that plan on an ongoing basis, we can talk about that. But on this call, all it's really about is just mapping out these 3 specific things of exactly how to do it, the exact same phone call, the exact same plan that we shared with Tony and Michelle would like to share with you. So again, just go loanofficerstrategycall.com, answer those couple questions. As soon as you do that, it'll flip you to a calendar, pick a time and date that works for you, and look forward to being on that call with you. So don't delay. Go do that right now while there's space still available. And so again, thanks for being here. Always appreciate those reviews. And we'll talk to you when we call in, and we'll also see you on the next episode of Loan Officer Freedom. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.